Really quickly, I want to make a quick note before we get into all of the details. There's a lot that we know at this moment, and there's a lot that we don't know. What we're going to give you guys is stuff that we know at this time, and we also understand that, of course, we have people watching us live, and for those who are watching us live, A, thank you for staying with us through some audio difficulties that we had. B, thank you just for watching us in general. We appreciate it. We're glad that you guys come to us for deep dives into this stuff. Second of all, for those who are maybe watching on YouTube after, we are doing this on May 19th, 2026 at about 9 a.m. As things stand right now, we are waiting to get more information on a number of fronts. You did an excellent job of providing us the latest of what we know so far, some of the things that we're looking forward to as time goes on. Of course, we're also looking to see you mentioned names. We mentioned more information about the suspects and what led to what we saw here. This is stuff that we might be hearing later today. We are currently awaiting confirmation as to when we could be hearing an update from the San Diego Police Department. We do know we are going to be hearing from the Muslim Leadership Council later here in the afternoon, and we're also going to be covering a vigil at Lindbergh Park, which is right next to the Islamic Center. So it's just kind of a timeline of the things we are looking forward to at this moment. If you're happening to watch this with this being recorded, posted online after. So I just wanted to make sure that we are updated with where we're at right now so that you can be best caught up
context
on whenever you are watching this. So we do appreciate that. But let's start with the Islamic Center of San Diego. This is the largest mosque. This is the largest Islamic center here in San Diego. It typically holds 5 daily prayers. Part of the center includes the Al-Rashid School, offers courses in Arabic, Islamic studies, and the Quran for ages 5 and up. Of course, this taking place at the time that it did. Kids were in the school at the time. Faculty was in the school at the time. Leadership was in the center at that time. So to kind of transition it into what happened here with us, because I think this show provides us a good opportunity to talk about not just the news, but of doing the news and what we experience when we're covering stories, the thought process. But this is an opportunity for us to talk about what happens, not only when you're talking about breaking news, a national tragedy, you know, something that very quickly our news crews were going to, all the other local stations here, their news crews were going to. We started to see the Associated Press, the New York Times, Reuters, CNN, LA stations, CNN make their way here, and here we are, literally, figuratively, geographically, in the epicenter of this. Happened just a few blocks away from us.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out all of this, and I think this is a good conversation that we're going to have, because I think for a lot of people, they'll go online, they'll go through social media. One of the biggest complaints that I've heard about this story, about any story, is that they feel like there is all of this unverified information online. They don't know what to believe, and they don't know why it is that maybe we are not as forthcoming with some of the information that we may have, etc. But you have to understand something. Our news channel and many news channels like ours are held to high ethical standards. And so I do want to also point out that we are waiting for a lot of confirmation that we have some of the information. We know some of the rumors that are swirling out there. And I think that for a lot of people, they want to know why it is that we're not putting that out there. Because as you'll see, even in our timeline that we're putting together here about our response to this, the show that you put on, we hear a lot of these things. We just don't have confirmation, and we don't want to be wrong. It's better to be right than it is to be first. That is something that you hear oftentimes. And I know that a lot of times this institution doesn't always get that right, Jack, but you guys did a really great job yesterday, because we did hear immediately that there were reports of an active shooter, of mass shooting, that this was a mass casualty response. We knew that Arturi Apodaca was headed to a situation involving the SWAT team at 11:55. One of the things that you do here at News 8, Jack, is you also produce the noon. This is happening right before. You've got to figure out how to get her into the show, how to write it up, how to get this on air. Take me through that process. I mean, you're waiting to find out a little bit more confirmation, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of the name of the game, because the news moves so fast sometimes in this building, and it is. Sometimes it's easy. Your first response is to immediately take to whatever we're going. So I come in, you mentioned, five minutes before I get in the desk in the control room. That's literally right outside here in the studio, like right there. If you guys can see where I'm pointing, it's right across this window
just behind
here.
my shoulder.
The dark room, all the monitors in there. That's where a lot of the stuff that you see happens. When you see breaking news, we are at those desks. We are writing it. We are coding, we are building graphics to make this happen. But when it comes to, breaking news, we're not going to act on it unless we get all sorts of confirmation from different people, especially our executive producers, upper level management. These are the people that we want to talk to at this time when we're trying to get this information out, and we want to know whether or not this is something that is legitimate. And that's a whole other conversation that we need to take into consideration when we're having events like this, because let me give you an example. If there is a supposed bomb threat, an alleged bomb threat that goes to a school, oftentimes we don't report on that. And we do that for a specific reason, which is we don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. We wait for confirmation from official sources as to whether or not this is something that is legitimate and we need to respond to. And B, we don't want to give attention to the person who put out the threat, the alleged threat, because oftentimes that's the goal. And we don't want to perpetuate a cycle where you're seeing people get rewarded for stuff like bomb threats.
I think people would be surprised if they were to sit at our assignment desk, which again is an area also in the newsroom where we essentially, it is the brains of the operation, right? We have our assignment managers, our assignment editors who sit there, they sift through calls, they sift through emails, they sift through reports, they sift through tips. You'd be surprised in any given month how many bomb threats, how many threats of school shootings, how many reports of things that are happening that turn out to not be happening. So again, when we get this call, Tori is essentially sent out there to check it out, to get eyes on the situation. We have a chopper here in San Diego. It's shared by every major news organization. We're waiting for that to get up in the air. We're also contacting the San Diego Police Department, the San Diego County Sheriff's Office. CHP was spotted there as well, too. My shift ends at noon. I was out the door. I was going home, and I see this, police response. And the first thing I do is I contact the desk. And what I will say is that when you don't hear back from the desk, you know something is going on.
Yeah,
and that's what
because
happened,
they're
right?
busy calling
because
other
they
people.
Are so busy.
You are so low on the priority list of people to talk back to.
And it's
at
essentially
that
it's confirmation. They're aware of what's going on, and they have their plan. And it's one of those things where it's like too many cooks in the kitchen, right? The last thing you want to do on a staff like this is sort of inject yourself. So what you do is we've got teams just like any corporate office, right? We are doing what we can from behind the scenes, making calls, sources, the Center for American Islamic Relations, that's a contact that we've used in the past. Afghan evac, that's one that again we're not even just using police, we're using community resources, everything, trying to get confirmation to give to our reporters who are out there on the scene. So Jack, when did you first take Tori live?
Yeah. So at first, I had no idea what this was. All I heard was SWAT response at Balboa. My first initial reaction was Balboa Park, not Balboa Avenue.
Right.
I live near Balboa Park. My girlfriend, I have friends, people I care about there. So my first thing to do is I immediately text people that, my loved ones, the people close to me, and say, hey, avoid this area if this is the case. I don't know what you guys are up to. I quickly learn after this is all moving so rapidly that this is Balboa Avenue. Now it's not close to my loved ones. It's close to me. It's close to us. It was just crazy how it came through. So I'm waiting for official confirmation. I'm sending out messages to upper management to get confirmation as to, hey, I heard this from my contemporary, my colleague. I need a manager to tell me, is this what we are going to be covering right now? I'm hearing a lot of information.
Are we going live with this?
Are we going live? And I hear immediately, take Tori right now. So my mind automatically goes to, okay, this is something serious. And we see her live shot pull up a few minutes before we go to air. we'll show you the video of what we see here in terms of the police presence, and of course you guys have seen this. This is what we see. Eric, he said this earlier during one of the morning shows, and I think it's correct. I don't think I have ever seen a police buildup in a situation like this to this extent ever. I mean, the first shot that I see from Tori right before we took her live for her first hit, which ended up being hours of nonstop coverage, was rows of dozens and dozens of police vehicles. You see the armored vehicle right there. We saw multiple officials. You see there, I'm not sure that CHP officer right there, but of course, police officers. I saw the U.S. Marshal. We saw SWAT. We saw a litany of different departments, different law enforcement units converge at one time in such a massive area. And of course, this is the Balboa Avenue exit of the 805. Yeah. That is one of the busiest routes that you will see in this area, especially near this type of day. It's usually that 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock window when we start to see that traffic really build up, and that lasts through 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Incredibly important corridor.
Yeah, an important corridor. And again, the only time that I can think back, at least in my short-term memory here, of seeing a response like this would actually be another unfortunate example of a shooting at a place of worship, and that would be at the Chabad of Poway, the temple, the synagogue in Poway. That was the other most recent shooting that we saw took place again at a house of worship. And when these things happen, those calls go out, similar to us. But when police get those calls out, you see that response no matter what agency they're in, because of history. Because of the training that they do these multi-agency training situation scenarios, all of that kicks in, and we see that take place. And so I think that's a really good lens, Jack, into when you see that response, you then know you have something. And in large part, that's because that movement to get Tori there on scene with her photographer, Miguel, so that they could have that vantage point, so that we know that it's more than just scanner traffic, radio calls, things like that we get, because we're not hearing immediately from police. As you might imagine, they've got their hands full, just the same as, like I said, when that assignment desk, you reach out to them, you don't hear back. Well, sometimes when you reach out to the spokespeople for the police and you don't hear back immediately, it's almost like a little bit of like, okay, something might be up, and then you couple that with then finally having eyes on this, and it sort of again confirms your worst fears that this is something, a tragedy that's unfolding right here in front of you.
And it really was an incredible operation of everyone here dropping everything that they're doing and responding to this case from a news coverage standpoint. We had Tori Apodaca, who was our initial reporter, who was there. We'll probably have her join us here in just a few minutes. But we also had Shannon Handy, and we had Steve Price there. And I want to talk about some of the interviews that we saw from Shannon in particular. She was primarily... There was no rhyme or reason to who was going to cover what. It really was just go out there, get a microphone, get a camera, and tell us what you see.
Yep.
There's so much we don't know. You are our eyes and ears for the public. We need you to do that. And I want to take you to just some of the sites that I'm not sure if this was necessarily Shannon that caught this, but we know Shannon spoke to parents as they were talking to law enforcement officials to try to pass this barrier. The barrier was taken right off of if you're going west on Balboa, right, and you're taking the bridge that's right across the 805. It's at the start of that bridge where this barricade starts. You already see that police personnel there, and this isn't there exactly, but these are the sights you're seeing. I mean, a sobering, surreal scene of parents pleading with law enforcement officials to see if their child is okay. This was far from the first incident or the first instance that we saw here of worried, sick parents. Yep. Unfortunately, we have seen these scenes before in different states, in different contexts, at different locations. It doesn't matter religion, color, creed. This is a universal experience, and we saw it yet again yesterday, and we were hearing tears being shed in the newsroom as this was happening. It's it's our job to be matter of fact. It's our job to report things as they are. But there are instances where, Chris, it's hard to keep that line in. And this was one of those instances where we really saw a lot of people struggle to maintain that sense of, I don't want to say objectivity, because it makes it sound like we're losing a bias, we're
part of our
obtaining
humanity,
a bias.
right,
But yes, you're right. I mean, it's a natural human response.
Yeah.
And it's instances like that where you start to see that line blur between we are reporting the story and we are feeling the story as it happens. And this was one of those instances.
It does not matter if you're a parent, if you're not a parent. We have seen so many instances of this in our country here that I think for a lot of people, it's an objective thing, obviously, or it's a goal to be objective as you can. But I think that everyone would agree that there's no counter argument to that. We don't want to see this.
Yeah,
we don't need to see this. We don't want to see the images of children, thankfully, safely leaving the school.
Yeah, here it is right here. Let's pull it up.
This is something that has become far too common here in the United States of America and in other places across the world, but it is obviously more prevalent here. It is important that we do not become numb to this, because as you'll hear from a 9-year-old who spoke to the news. This is obviously an interview that has been making waves, and I think it's an important one because I've grappled with this. If as a parent, what I do, because obviously parental permission is something that comes with this, but I think it's important because these are the people that are going to be directly impacted by something like this for the rest of their lives. We're hearing about those who went through the Parkland shooting, now growing up and being in the workforce and voting and so forth. And now let's listen to this child again recount what happened.
I heard like a bunch of bad stuff, like gunshots, and plus I went inside the closet with my whole class. We heard like 12 or like 16 gunshots, and then the SWAT team said, FBI, open up, and they opened the door. I felt a bit scared. My legs were shaking in my hands, and my head was like hurting me a lot. I felt like a rock.
Again, you don't want children in this country to have to go through that, and I think that we can all say that and agree with that. And unfortunately, though, that is something that occurred, and it's our job to obviously continue to report the facts so that those who are in power, those who have the power to make changes, can see that, can hear that little boy talk about something that he should not have to go through, and hopefully can make changes so that we don't have to see this. It's great that law enforcement responded the way that they did, but it's just one of those things.
And you mentioned the parent perspective, and this is it's not common to have these instances in areas where there are students and come out of it knowing that no children were injured or killed in this situation, which I know for, again, those parents that we saw as it was happening and we still didn't know the details, and that's what we were holding our breaths for, was what is the worst case scenario. We were waiting for that pin to drop of what we might be hearing, hoping for the best. Oftentimes you see this story before, especially in this industry, what is possible. And to see that there were no children, hurt as a result of this was a real sigh of relief for a lot of people. But of course, that doesn't mean that this is not a tragedy, because we saw people lose their lives as a result of this. You mentioned the process in which we take here at a news station to confirm this information. We knew about a lot of this information 30, 40 minutes before we got an official word. What we were really waiting for was that press conference, that newser in which we heard from the FBI, in which we heard from the San Diego Police Department, the mayor, all of these different streams of information. Who are the people that we wait for with these official confirmations so that we know we are getting the correct information?
Just at least the very latest.
Because
I think
correct.
even for police, they will tell you sometimes that they have a hesitancy to come forward with some information because they don't know if they have it all right away. And look, we learned that the suspect's age changed from 19 to 18, and that's something
that is
small.
Correct.
But I think that that's an important point to say that not everything that we hear from, and I don't mean this in a callous way, I just mean that sometimes in a fast moving breaking news environment, sometimes there are things that can be recorrected, or just corrected. And that's one example that we saw yesterday.
And eventually we ended up getting that new information. We were able to get not only information from our first press conference, we got a second press conference later that day, and we have had reporters covering all the bases of this throughout yesterday evening, throughout yesterday afternoon, and throughout this morning. We're actually going to have one of those reporters on with us. We're going to have Tori Apodaca join us here in just a few minutes. But before we get into the actual details of this case and we really kind of get deep into what actually happened yesterday, Chris, I think this is a good time for us to take a quick break, reset, and we'll come back here in just a moment.
Let's do it. All right. Welcome back in. This is Right Now here on the CBS 8 app. I'm Chris Grome. That's Jack Hull here to my right. We have been discussing and recapping the very latest that we have here on the Islamic Center of San Diego shooting that occurred just yesterday. One of the first reporters there on the scene in all of San Diego was our Tori Apodaca. We have her live in now. She's continuing our coverage today. She also, of course, continued a lot of that coverage this morning. So, Tori, first, I want to just sort of, again, treat this more like a reporter's handbook. We're just going to have a conversation here. Take me through that call. I imagine you were on another assignment, as we do here on the morning show shift. You were probably getting ready to go home, wrap up the 11 o'clock live shot. When did you first get that call? Who was it, and what did they say?
Yeah, so my photographer Miguel and I actually kind of stumbled across it ourselves. We were on our way back from a story driving on the freeway, and all of a sudden, all of these police vehicles just started hauling their lights and they were just going. Maybe we saw three of them on the freeway. Then we got off and we were closer to our new station, which is in Kearny Mesa, like probably less than 2 blocks or so away from where everything was going down on Balboa Avenue. As we were approaching everything, we then saw, oh my gosh, all the flashing lights, just more and more first responders. We saw the fire trucks, everyone just swarming that way. So we immediately called our news station, was like, hey, we think something's going down. We have no idea what it is. Do you guys have any information on this? And they also said, no, we're hearing obviously all the sirens. Go, just go. So that's exactly what we did. We went and we hopped out of the car and we were ready to go live without really having any information other than there was a ton of police activity. And when we got out, there were two people that were just standing around near where everything was going down, and I just looked at them and I was like, "Do you guys know what's happening?" And that's when they told us there's an active shooter right now at the mosque. And my photographer Miguel and I just looked at each other and we're like, "Okay." We both took a deep breath, said many prayers, and went in. And then within the next 10 or so minutes, we then had confirmed from police that that was indeed what was going down out there. So we were then able to go on air and have that information for people.
Yeah,
It was
Tori, I was the primary producer, as Chris mentioned. So you and I were in a lot of communication for
Yeah.
roughly 3 hours once we started to get these reports on it. A lot of to pull the curtain back a little bit. A lot of what we had going on our end was, we have your guys' live feeds no matter what's going on, regardless of what you're seeing on your television. We have screens that have everything, so we're keeping an eye on what you're doing, on what Shannon Handy is doing, and what Steve Price is doing, and we're taking different feeds as we see them. Oftentimes, we would see you finding a person who is, whether it's a homeowner who's nearby, whether that was a parent looking for their children, whether that's someone who works at the Islamic Center, whoever it may be. We're seeing you guys talk to people, and when I see that, I'm punching in your ear and I'm telling you, hey, we're going to take this live. Can you let them know? Ask them if they're able to do it. Tell me about those conversations that you had. What was the sense? What was the environment? What was the mood as we were, learning about what was developing based on your interviews?
It was chaotic. It was just all of the energy was running so high for everyone, especially once the parents of some of those children, loved ones of the people who work at the Islamic Center, once they started showing up, that's when it really became a bit more real to just the gravity of what the situation really was in front of us. Because at first it was really just ourselves, our news crew, and the first responders. But slowly, as more of them showed up, it's always hard to have those conversations, trying to respect their privacy as they are processing everything. But then I'm always humbled by the people who are willing to give us a moment to talk with us and just give it kind of humanize the experience and give us a better perspective on what they're dealing with, what they do, what they don't know. I know I spoke with a gentleman out there, and he was a grandfather, and within minutes of us being out there, he already knew who one of the victims was. And as reporters, we have to do our due diligence and make sure we get that confirmed from authorities before we can go on air and say something like that. But even just hearing that early on, I already kind of, in my reporting, knew the mood and knew the gravity of the situation.
And I think, again, it's important that we explain to the viewers, again, while we oftentimes may see names, we're given names, there is a protocol in which we try not to share information that, again, while you may know, while we may know, their family may not know, their friends may not know. And as a matter of protocol, oftentimes what the police department hopes to achieve to do is to let those family members know before it is that we release that information, that it's better that it comes from them in a more private, personal matter, that they're informed of that before we put that out there. Now, of course, Amin Abdullah, the security guard who was killed in this shooting, a little bit different. The Islamic Center, the Center for American Islamic Relations, they released his name because they're attempting to raise money for that father of 8. They're also, again, documenting his heroic actions that he took. So that's why we have his name, and we're still waiting on the names of the other 2 victims, or at least 8 before we publish them, that everyone has been notified. Tori, I thought you did such an excellent job, because one of the hard things about reporting that I think a lot of people don't know is when you have that information and you're live and you're not trying to put out information that you have that has not been confirmed. So I just want to give you your kudos, but also being able to maintain that objectivity that you showed so well, while also kind of revealing the humanity of the situation. But I have to imagine again that was difficult. That had to have been a very difficult assignment for you, especially it's because it's not one that you can prepare or train for.
No, no, it's not. Thank you, Chris. And yeah, I just know throughout our entire newsroom, it really comes down to how it is that team effort as we're all working together, trying to really truly bring whatever information we can to the viewer, to the community, because we're all standing by too. We're members of this community as well, and we want the same answers, and we're going to advocate and do whatever we can to really just bring light to whatever the situation is and humanize it. Definitely
Yeah.
hear from the people who are being impacted.
And we should note we were talking about the fact that we are waiting on a press conference where we may get some more of that information. And I believe you will be using that as or you're gonna be focusing on Amin Abdullah and his and those victims. If potentially we hear any more names, we have just learned that it sounds like there will be a multi-agency press conference at noon. So, again, just depending on how everything shakes up, we'll continue to have that coverage. But you'll be focusing on obviously Amin, the victims, and so forth. Tori, one more question here, but before we go, I just want to know, when you're seeing all of that response, we were trying to think of moments where we've seen it in your career. Have you seen a police response, a law enforcement response similar to yesterday's, or was that obviously the largest that you've seen?
In my career, I would have to say that this was probably the largest I've ever seen. And just even though, yes, you can describe it as chaotic, it was like an organized chaos, if that makes any sense. And I know that the police chief yesterday called it like one of the most dynamic mass responses he's ever seen in his career too. And he was applauding just all the first responders that showed up there because it truly was exactly that. Like it was chaotic, but there was purpose, and they were on top of it. They were there quick. I think within 4 minutes, he said, of getting that call.
Okay. Well, Tori, thank you so much for being able to help us kind of sort through again what it is that you experienced there. And obviously, thank you so much for all of the work that you've done here in the past 24 hours. So that's going to do it for us here with this interview with Tori. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our coverage of everything that occurred, including looking forward to the questions that we still have about what unfolded just yesterday. All right, welcome back in. This is Right Now here on the CBS 8 app. What we wanted to do is I know that we've been giving a lot of information, and many of you may be tuning in here in the middle of our stream. So what we want to do is sort of take a step back and go through a timeline. I think, Jack, this will be a good opportunity to just sort of, again, go through the basic facts of what happened, and then we can reset. And we've got some interviews, some reaction that we want to get to in just a short while. We obviously just spoke with Tori Apodaca about her coverage, her experience going out there. We've spoken to you about your experience producing that initial response, the newscast that we had here through the stream. But let's go through the facts of what happened here on Monday, where this all basically started sometime about 11:43 a.m. Police received reports of a shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego. 3 adult victims were found there. One of them was a mosque security guard, and then what we believe to be 2 other men. We're still waiting to find out exactly what their relation is to the Islamic Center at this time. But you can see there on the map, Balboa Avenue, that is the 805 on the right of your screen, the 3 that were found dead there. Then, just a short time later, a landscaper was shot at a few blocks away. You could see right there, that's inside of the Claremont neighborhood. Was not injured, and it's believed that a bullet struck his helmet, which may have ultimately saved his life. As many of 100 law enforcement officers entered that center there, breached doors, trying to clear the room. No discharge of weapons from officers, so it was a clean breach. It was a clean operation. They were able to get those kids out, as we showed you in obviously that video that occurred. Now, police later then confirmed the threat was neutralized, but this wasn't until around 1 p.m. as you see a lot of those children and staff members that were being let outside of the Islamic Center. Now, the shooting is being investigated as a hate crime. Those 2 individuals that were found at the very sort of south end of the map, they were reportedly found with self-inflicted gunshot wounds. We only know very basic information about them right now at this time, Jack, that they are 2 teen boys, ages 17 and 18, right?
Yeah, one of the things we talked about, and I still think it's really important that we make this abundantly clear when it comes to what we're going to confirm and not confirm, because we're consistently awaiting information. For both those who are watching this live and those who are watching this on YouTube after the fact, it's 9:45 a.m. Pacific time right now on May 19th, 2026. So we just got confirmation that there's going to be a multi-agency news conference along with the San Diego Police Department at noon local time. So if you're watching this after that, this is a little outdated. There might be some stuff that's confirmed that isn't confirmed at this time. Potentially the names of the suspects, details about the victims, etc. That's the information that we're waiting for on this time. So however you're watching this, whenever you're watching it, know that this is where we're at right now, and this is the information that you're going to get. So what we know about the suspects. They were found near the scene. Again, we'll throw up that map again to just show you just how close all of this took place. All of this within a few blocks from each other. That's a 2-minute drive from the Islamic Center right there. The Islamic Center, of course, is in the southwestern quadrant of that intersection between the 805 and Balboa Avenue in the Claremont, Kearny Mesa or Convoy area. What they were found, the officials say that they died as a result of self-inflicted gunshot wounds. That is what we're hearing at this time. Of course, not reporting on the identities. We know that there are some news outlets that have already offered some more intimate details about these suspects in particular. We don't have any confirmation from that. We're gonna hold off on that until we hear that.
Yeah, we don't need to dance around it. We've seen the same reports that people have online, and I think that's something that maybe viewers don't really understand. We're seeing the same reports on social media. We obviously knew which house to go to. Our Tori Apodaca was outside of that FBI investigation, outside one of the suspects' homes. But we have journalistic standards, and because, again, you're talking about teens that are implicated in this, we are going to wait until we have our journalistic standards checked before we release those names.
Yes, especially when it has to do with whether you're a victim or a suspected
or
assailant.
A suspected assailant. Right.
The standards still apply.
Correct.
So at around 9:42 a.m. yesterday, police say they received a call from a mother reporting a runaway juvenile. During yesterday's news conference, San Diego Police Chief Scott Wall actually detailed that phone call specifically about her son and about his supposed whereabouts. We're going to take a listen here. Take a listen. This is Police Chief Scott Wall.
She believed her son was suicidal, and she began to share information that several of her weapons were missing. Her vehicle was missing, in addition to her son.
So as that search continued, police had learned that the juvenile was accompanied by an acquaintance. So we had two at this point, that they were dressed in camouflage. So police began to dispatch officers to any of the potential locations in which the suspect might have been. As you heard mentioned, the mother, during that phone call with the police, had said that her vehicle was missing. They used ALDR technology, that is automatic license plate readers, ALPR, my apologies, not ALDR, technology, which, you know, is something that we've talked about here on this show and during a lot of our newscasts. You know, of course, you'll hear police argue on this controversial topic that it allows for situations like this. Initially, it took the officers to Fashion Valley. That's where the most recent data had this car located at the time as they were conducting that search. So according to our reporting, at first they believed that it was Fashion Valley Mall was going to be the center of a potential attack here. Of course, you know, firearms missing. You're hearing about a juvenile who is allegedly suicidal, has mental health issues, certain tendencies here. That becomes one of the immediate responses. So that's what we were seeing here. But this was before reports, which came in at right before 11:45 a.m. Before these phone calls of what actually ended up being, of course, an active shooting at the Islamic Center here.
Yeah, and again, I think it's really hard. I mean, put yourself in police. We know that it was basically a be on the lookout for alert that went out on top of, you know, utilizing and trying to track that location. And you think you got a hit, but I have to think, and I heard Chief Wall say this, that the technology really did help to even getting them to the response of even, you know, the mosque, and being able to find where the car was, and just really just sort of even just making people aware, officers, law enforcement, etc. So again, you really did hear him begin to credit that. I know that a lot of focus again on social media has been on the names of these two individuals. We can go through again what it is that we know through some of our own reporting here. So we'll talk a little bit about the suspects. The 17-year-old, we know that he was a student within the San Diego Unified School District, and according to a school district official, that he was enrolled at virtual iHigh Virtual Academy. Now, between 2024 to 2025, he participated in wrestling as an extracurricular activity at Madison High School. Again, this is an important distinction because a lot of the early reporting was that he was because people, again, this is why we have journalistic standards, were wrongly saying that he was enrolled there as a student. But according to San Diego Unified School District, was never enrolled there as a student, but he wrestled as an extracurricular through Madison High School.
Oftentimes if you're either homeschooled or if the high school that you do attend doesn't have a certain athletic program, you see that happen. Yeah. So not an odd case, but understandable why that is something that might get misconstrued at one time. Which again, I think it's important that we just underscore confirmation and all that.
I think it's a great example of why it is that we wait for the facts.
And throughout the late afternoon yesterday, throughout the evening, and even through the early hours of this morning, we had seen authorities at searching a home in Claremont where
the FBI,
where one of the suspects allegedly has a connection to. During these news conferences that we saw yesterday, we saw at least two. We were hearing that search warrants were being executed as they were speaking. So you're really seeing, of course, given the gravity of the situation that was before these responders, law enforcement officials, and whatnot, investigators, you were seeing these warrants being, expedited at quite a fast rate, being able to get through all the legal checkpoints in order to conduct these searches. At last check, we saw that since then, at this hour, as far as we're aware of right now, that police presence has virtually cleared completely from the house. We don't know what information has been gathered from those searches and from the execution of those search warrants at that time. That very well could be information that we get here in the next few hours as we start to hear more from not just the San Diego Police Department, but from the FBI as well, because the FBI is assisting local law enforcement. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed the local division responding, pledged all resources to assist local partners. Very likely what you're going to see here when we get to this this news conference here in just a couple of hours. We heard from the FBI
we heard from
yesterday.
the FBI yesterday,
So we've already seen the joint investigation begin. We're going to see that continue very likely throughout the rest of the day. One of the things that we talked about with Tori just a few minutes ago were the victims. 3 victims. Of course, we know that police believe the 2 juvenile suspects died as a result of self-inflicted gunshot wounds, but confirmed information. You mentioned this. Let's reiterate it one more time because it's important, and we're already getting a sense of just how vital this individual was to the Islamic Center, to the Islamic community, to a lot of the children involved. It was one of the first things that we heard from organizations outside of law enforcement responses, official organizations that we rely on for the cold hard facts. We were able to get the human side of the story, and a lot of it had to do with what is at this moment our only confirmed victim.
Yeah, the only confirmed name, so far is Amin Abdullah, who was the security guard who was killed in the shootings. And this is part of the reason why we have this confirmation, is because this was put out by the Islamic Center of San Diego, as well as the Council on American Islamic Relations, the chapter here in San Diego. This was my assignment today, was just documenting the actions that Abdullah took. Also letting you know, this is someone who is a father of 8. This is someone who, you go through the social media posts that have been dedicated to him, seen videos of him talking about his favorite food. This is someone who had the jolly demeanor, someone who very much took pride in the work that they do. And that's something that we're even hearing from those who interacted with him. And that's something that we heard and documented as well, too, in a lot of the interviews that were done. Now, we also know that fundraiser at Last Check, I'm going to pull it up here because I believe that so far, and this is we are looking at $1.89 million has already been raised for him. Incredible response from the community, from others. Again, this is someone who was a father of 8. In a statement, the Islamic Center of San Diego called him, quote, a courageous man who put himself on the line of the safety of others, who even in his last moments did not stop protecting our community. Now, again, we are still waiting on further information and confirmation of the 2 other individuals. It does appear that they were likely tied to the Islamic Center in some capacity. Still waiting confirmation on that. What we do know is that they're 2 adult men. Very likely, that they have some sort of tie there to the Islamic Center. In what capacity, we're going to wait to find out, wait to have confirmation on that. As for the investigation status, Jack, I know that the quote that Chief Scott Wall gave was, this is being investigated as a hate crime until it's not, right? It basically saying that they are going in there with the belief that right now that this is, until they're told differently, that they believe that this is a hate crime, unless they find evidence to suggest otherwise.
And we have some there's some reporting out there that we don't have confirmed on our end as to things relating to the motive of it. None of that has been confirmed. We haven't heard anything from the police department or the FBI that comments on any sort of alleged motive. But that's clearly was the initial sense from the scene as we were seeing it happen, that as you mentioned, that is something that we had heard being from Scott Wall, police chief of the San Diego Police Department, confirmed that that's what it was being investigated as. Again, being investigated does not mean that this is what happened at this moment. We're awaiting more information that should be coming in here soon.
I mean, he said, and I believe it was in both press conferences, but that there was hate speech that was used. Now, again, we're still waiting for maybe some further clarification about that. I know there's been some reports. Some other outlets have had some pictures from the scene in which the car was found that they believe might be tied to something. But just in terms of what we can report here as News 8, it's what Chief Wall told us, which is that there was hate speech used by these two individuals.
Yeah. What that looks like in particular, again, still don't know. We do know that this, this came at what was supposed is almost a pivotal time. My apologies for the Muslim community. A week before the holiday of Eid al-Adha, right before the annual Hajj pilgrimage, one of the 5 main pillars of Islam. Of course, that is the pilgrimage to Mecca. That is an incredibly personal and intimate pillar of the Islamic religion. A lot of important personal connections and communal aspects to that. We will hear from people from the imam from the Islamic Center here in just a few minutes. We're going to start to dive into
a lot of the reactions.
We heard from the police chief from that news conference give his update from the official investigative angle, but we're going to get a little bit more of a personal level from a very vast array of people here throughout the community in terms of what their responses are to this at this moment. We do know that the latest update that we had this morning, and really one of the real only things outside of some new details on the victims that we knew, we know that so far road closures that were around the Islamic Center have since been lifted. This was right before 5 a.m. this morning. Of course, this is a major corridor for a lot of people. For people who work in the convoy area, there's not a lot of neighborhoods, so this is one of the primary roads in which people go from their homes to their jobs. That has opened, so for those of you that are doing their morning commute for about to, that's something that you can rest a little bit easy when it comes to how you may be getting to work here. But we're still going to see an investigation continued there. I'm sure you're going to hear more about more warrants being executed as this investigation perhaps goes a little bit deeper as we learn more information.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be an ever evolving situation.
Yes.
Why don't we go ahead, take a quick break here? We'll dive into that reaction here. But first, let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. All right, welcome back in. This is right now streaming on the CBS 8 app. We've been recounting the Islamic Center of San Diego shooting that took place yesterday. We want to dive into now to some local reaction that we've been getting, Jack. I know, obviously, we saw that immediate press conference that took place. We saw a number of different leaders, local law enforcement, as well as religious leaders. Let's just dive into exactly what we've heard and what we've seen so far.
Yeah, a lot of sound bites to get through, a lot of quotes to get through here. There might not be a lot of rhyme or reason to this, but we do want to go through just what we're hearing around here. What are people saying about it? Let's start here with Todd Gloria, the mayor of San Diego. He was there alongside the FBI. He was there alongside Scott Wall. He was one of the people in which we were hearing from in the initial moments after we began to really start to gather some information and we start to see this play out in real time. So I believe this was the second press conference that we heard. This was later in the afternoon. I want to say about anywhere in the 4:30 to 5:30 hour time frame, Pacific time in the evening. So let's take a listen to the mayor, Todd Gloria.
Hate has no home in San Diego. Islamophobia has no home in San Diego. An attack on any San Diegan is an attack on all San Diegans, and we will not stand for it in America's finest city.
That was something that was a sentiment that was echoed by the imam of the Islamic Center of San Diego. And before we play his sound, just very striking, very deep cutting words that he said there. We saw him not only in this press conference, we saw him in the previous one earlier in the afternoon when we were really just starting to get some information. We've also seen him make posts on Instagram. His presence has been very much felt, and since this has all taken place, and his message essentially, I don't have it here in the soundbite, but I can paraphrase what we heard was, from all hours of the day, he felt like, he said that the Islamic Center would never ask what your religion was.
Yeah.
What God do you worship as you walk into that door? That was never a question that was asked, whether you pray to a Christian God, whether you pray to a Jewish God, multiple gods, whatever kind of religion that you follow or lack thereof religion, there was a place for you in the Islamic Center. That was what he wanted to make abundantly clear as time went on. Yeah.
And it did not appear, by the way, in that first press conference that he was designated to speak, if you will. I remember watching that press conference, and it was Chief Wall, he was mayor. There were some questions that were asked. I can't recount if the FBI spoke at that or the previous or the next one, but regardless, it was mostly law enforcement in the city. And I remember at the end, they said to the imam, would you like to say something? And we heard very powerful thoughts from him.
What you're going to hear is from the second one.
This is from the second one, but I remember that first
it was an
one
impromptu part of it that became a more structural part of the second press conference because his association to the center, because the power that his words carry, and you see it carry on throughout the evening. So we'll let you listen to it right here.
Let them pray, as we do always at the Islamic Center of San Diego. It's a house of worship. It's not a battlefield.
Yeah, and that quote right there, that stuck with me again. That this is a place where people come to worship. This is a place where people come to study, to hang, to be with friends. He had also, I'd be remiss if I did not recount that he also was talking about that there were people who were not, as you mentioned, you do not have to be a member of the Islamic faith to go there. But he said that there were visitors there earlier, maybe in the day or the week, I can't recall the specifics, but that were just interested in the mosque, in the center, and wanting to learn more about it. And that quest for knowledge, that is something that they obviously relish in, but at the same time was almost taken advantage of, right? Because by these individuals who had this, who undertook this tragic shooting.
And we were multiple organizations outside of the Islamic Center, outside of the epicenter of what transpired yesterday are also coming out. We heard from CARE, we heard from the executive director, calling the attack, quote, horrifying act of violence. They said no one should fear for their safety while attending prayer or studying at an elementary school. Of course, we mentioned that earlier at the top of our show, that part of the Islamic Center is a school that is for children to learn about the Quran, to learn about Islamic culture, to learn Arabic, multiple different things. We heard from a 9-year-old child. We saw that video of children being escorted out by police as they're going to their reunification spots. Again, we'll play that for you one more time. CARE also noted that the attack comes amid rising anti-Muslim bias nationwide. They're citing a record 8,683 complaints of discrimination and Islamophobia reported in 2025. That number still being counted up here for 2026. San Diego Police Department, we know that they have boosted their security presence at all different types of houses of worship, not just mosques, churches, synagogues, etc. You're hearing the same thing elsewhere. You're hearing it in Los Angeles, and increased patrols in very similar spots across LA. They've also noted that there is no known threat to the Los Angeles area. So if you have family out there at that moment, nothing to be worried about in that case necessarily. But of course, speaking to the gravity in which you're seeing the security measures expand outside of just our centralized local area.
And being there today, this morning, I can tell you again, it's still very much a locked down center. We saw the imam make a brief appearance and likely again checking in, but San Diego Police Department still with a heavy presence in and around that neighborhood. You saw a lot of neighbors coming out to check out to see exactly how things were going. Yeah. A row of press.
You were there just a few hours ago.
Just a few hours
ago.
Tell
us about that. A little bit more.
I mean, it's just odd because again, it's just there's just such a large presence of the press. This is sort of again how the last mass shooting at a place of worship that I covered was the Chabad of Poway, and that felt very similar. We were there 24, 48, 72 hours after, and it's a place that's meant to be open, welcome, and it's anything but. And even the security they have in place is a direct result of, as you mentioned, the stats that you recounted. The Islamophobia that is obviously present in this world, and trying to combat that, trying to keep their congregants safe, but also trying to maintain that open feeling that's got to be hard to combat, to have those two things coexist as one. And I have to imagine it was eerie. It was sad. But what was beautiful in a way was seeing the people who had no relation whatsoever to the mosque, to the Islamic Center, going there to pay their respects. As you heard Mayor Gloria say and recount there, that any attack on a San Diegan is an attack on all San Diegans, and that was something you sort of felt echoed. There was one woman in particular who was moved to tears. She's like, I used to live in the area. I just felt like no matter what, I just wanted to pay my respects. And we saw a lot of people doing that.
Yeah. Those are, despite all the tragedy of this story, other stories that are similar to this, it is those moments that I think a lot of people hold on to when it comes to finding a silver lining in what is truly a tragic situation. You mentioned the words of Todd Gloria. I also want to point to the words of California Governor Gavin Newsom here, issuing a statement as a result, saying, quote, "Worshippers anywhere should not have to fear for their lives. Hate has no place in California, and we will not tolerate acts of terror or intimidation against communities of faith. To the San Diego Muslim community, California stands with you." We also briefly heard from President Trump yesterday. This was during an event touting the president's one of his healthcare plans, Trump RX. He was asked about this. He called it a terrible situation, said that he would be going back and looking at it very strongly, end quote. We of course know that the FBI, Kash Patel, has confirmed cooperation, the local FBI division cooperating with San Diego police forces, San Diego police investigators. That is something that we have mentioned here before on this specific episode of the show. That's something that we're going to see again as time carries on, but cooperation on the federal and local level. Of course, we are going to see effects of this long term. There's going to be a response, a recovery period that we all expect to cover at length here. We've already begun the process of inviting guests to talk about these kind of things, not only their reactions to what they saw yesterday, but what are their plans on bringing the community, whatever community that is, whether that's the Muslim community here in San Diego, the Jewish community here in San Diego, whatever it may be, not just for the rest of this week, but beyond that. Chris, we right before, a few minutes before we went on air here, we had a guest join Eric Connor and Vanessa Paz on our 8 a.m. broadcast. Can you set this up before we get into this? We're going to air the whole interview in its entirety. It's about 7 minutes here, but this was something that we were listening to prior to coming on, and we want to make sure that it's getting seen again, because there's important. I think that there's stuff in there that I think a lot of people would like to hear.
Yeah, this is the executive director for Borderlands for Equity, Mejgan Afshan. She was actually, I believe, at least one of the press conferences, and again, being able to kind of go through connections, we were able to book her as a guest to just discuss again her reaction, the outlook of things. Let's go ahead and play that interview because it is a pretty powerful one.
And this tragedy has been tough on our entire community, specifically our Muslim neighbors. We have the executive director for Borderlands for Equity, Mejgan Afshan, with us for reaction to everything that has unfolded here. Our thoughts are with you as well as the community here. Talk a little bit about what happened, what unfolded. And I should tell viewers, we spoke to you out there at the scene yesterday, so appreciate you coming in. Walk us through what happened, what your eyes saw, and how you're feeling here this morning.
Well, thank you so much for you having me. Yesterday was a horrific act of domestic terrorism that we could never possibly fathom, and it is truly an American Muslim's nightmare come true. And we had reached, a few of the civil rights leaders had reached out to me, seeing that they had come across the active shooter message that went out to the community. And when they told me it was the Islamic Center of San Diego, I dropped everything to be able to call Sheikh Taha. And he was actually being evacuated, and you could hear shooting. You could hear the children and the people inside shouting, and the officers to get everybody evacuated. And it was truly horrific.
You actually heard this?
Yes, on the phone. So driving over, the initial response of what we found out was that the officer that arrived was the person that called a officer down instead of an active shooter being reported. And so that's why so many officers from across the county descended upon the Islamic Center. And as you saw on Balboa Avenue, it was completely shut down.
Absolutely.
The whole region was shut down.
I've never seen a response like that in San Diego, ever.
Exactly. And so I parked across the street, ran across the bridge, and was able to, get in contact with people that were being evacuated. And then it was just a matter of time and be able to wait it out to get across the street. But, parents, grandparents, children, spouses, partners were afraid for their families. And we want to condemn these horrific domestic terrorist acts, and we want to make sure that these people are punished, and this is going to be taken seriously. We don't ever want anyone in our community to face this kind of harm again, and we're reeling from the trauma and the fear that's happening, and really paralyzing everybody in the community right now. That's why we're calling for a peaceful vigil tonight.
Yeah, can you talk me through about the details, because I think this would be a good healing event for the community to show up and support. Absolutely.
We are planning a vigil tonight next to the Islamic Center, and it's going to be at 5:30. And
some of the details.
We had community members reach out and ask us, what time to be there. 6:30.
6:30 p.m. Okay.
At the park where next to the Islamic Center on Balboa Avenue, and we're asking everybody to come out and show as support.
At Lindbergh Neighborhood Park, we have the information up here. 6:30 p.m. This is for the victims and the families of the Islamic Center of San Diego shooting. There's also a support fund. Can we touch on that for the victims involved?
Absolutely. There's a support fund that the Islamic Center of San Diego has set up, and it's going to be, all you have to do is visit bit.ly/support ICSD, and we are trying to raise money for the families and the victims of this horrific act. There's no, it's just so horrific to watch the community experience this, but more importantly, not to turn this into a media circus, to make sure to remember and remind everybody about the humanity of our community members. Our 3 brothers that were shot down and murdered and in cold blood in front of the Islamic Center deserve better. They deserve justice.
We have been covering this with as much compassion as we can. We learned about this security guard whose life was taken, a father of 8. You've learned more about the victims as well. Can you share anything with our community about those lives, those souls that we lost?
Well, if it wasn't for Brother Amin, the security guard at the Islamic Center of San Diego, this could have been a catastrophic massacre.
Yeah, the chief calling him a hero.
Yeah, and he is absolutely our martyr and our hero, and our community deserves to mourn them in solidarity, but also remember their humanity. They are people who loved and didn't just show up to a job, but continually gave to the community with joy and with love and with in the Islamic terminology, we call it khushu, meaning joy. And it's something that we are so, as Muslims, we believe that martyrs are not really dead. They are alive, and they continue to experience heaven and paradise in a unique way because of their contribution and their sacrifice to our community.
When things like this happen, we hear, politicians, lawmakers saying our condolences, something has to be done. But what's being done? Is that frustrating to you that condolences are not enough in something like this?
Absolutely. Right? As you saw yesterday, we met and spoke to Mayor Todd Gloria as well as Police Chief Walls, and it's very important to continue to push home the message that we expect change in this community, especially when it comes to the gun violence experienced by so many of our Muslim, Black, and Brown community members, and stoking the fear and hate and Islamophobic rhetoric that continues to, really infect our media and infect our communities is really not helpful. And so the mayor and the police chief and many, many different people need to come together to denounce these actions, to denounce Islamophobia. And really it is an act of anti-Islamic terrorism and anti-Arab terrorism. This is absolutely unacceptable.
Well, Meshgan, thank you so much for coming in. Everyone can hopefully get to that vigil tonight. Can we visit Borderlands for Equity, your website, to learn more about your efforts as well?
Absolutely. Borderlands for Equity is a pro bono civil rights nonprofit and community advocacy organization, and we are working in coalition with many other organizations in San Diego County to continue to bring attention to the Islamic Center of San Diego and our community members that need the most support in this moment.
Meshgan, our thoughts are with you and the entire community. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.